Welcome back to Story After Midnight, where the darkness never sleeps. I'm your storyteller, guiding you through the world's most terrifying and mysterious true encounters. From haunted homes to ghostly sightings to strange and unexplained phenomena, I bring you the spine-chilling stories that will make you question what you thought you knew. In tonight's episode, we dive deep into the eerie and unsettling world of real life ghost encounters. These are stories from those who have unknowingly brushed up against the supernatural and lived to tell the tale. So, find a quiet spot, dim the lights, and make sure you're alone, because the shadows might be closer than you think. Who knows what's lurking, watching, and waiting to make its presence known. Now, let's step into the unknown. The darkness awaits. Whispers beneath the floorboards. A true haunting. They say every house has its story. I used to think that was just something people said to make old homes seem more charming. But that was before my family and I moved into the house on Wexley Lane. Before the shadows had names. Before I started hearing voices under the floorboards at night. We moved into the place during the fall. My husband, 2 kids, and I, ready for a fresh start in a quieter town. The house was a colonial-style home, beautiful in that worn vintage way. Wide porch, creaky floors, the kind of place that looks like it should smell like cinnamon and old books. And it did, for a while. It wasn't long before the strange things began. The first week was peaceful, too peaceful. Then, little things started happening, barely noticeable at first. The kitchen light would flicker when no one was in the room. The floorboards in the hallway creaked at odd hours, even when everyone was asleep. Once or twice, I'd find drawers slightly open in the morning, ones I was sure I had closed the night before. I chalked it all up to an old house settling. That's what everyone says, right? But then my daughter, Emma, started talking about the lady in the basement. She's 6, has an overactive imagination. So when she mentioned it the first time, I smiled and asked what the lady looked like. She doesn't have eyes, she said, without even blinking, and she whispers my name at night. That chilled me. I tried not to show it, told her it was probably just a dream. But that night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed, wide-eyed, every creak of the house suddenly sharper, every shadow deeper. A few days later, I decided to explore the basement myself. I hadn't spent much time down there, just stored a few boxes. The stairs groaned beneath me as I descended. The air was cooler, heavier. It was an unfinished basement, exposed stone walls, cracked cement floor. Something about it felt off, like it had a pulse of its own. In the far corner, there was an old wooden trapdoor set into the ground. I hadn't noticed it before, probably covered in dust and shadows when we moved in. I crouched beside it, no handle, just a rusted metal ring. I tugged. It didn't budge. Whatever was down there hadn't been opened in a long, long time. That night, I dreamt of water. Dark, cold water rising around my ankles, then my knees. I was standing in a stone chamber, holding a lantern, and something behind me whispered my name. Not yelled, not called out, whispered. It sounded like dry leaves scraping against glass. When I turned around, there was no one there, but I wasn't alone. I could feel something just behind me, breathing. I woke up in a sweat, heart pounding, and swore I could still feel dampness on my skin. Then things got worse. Emma started sleepwalking. I'd find her standing at the top of the basement stairs in the middle of the night, eyes open but unseeing. her lips moving as if whispering something, but no sound coming out. One night, I followed her. She walked down the creaking stairs barefoot, slowly, like she was being led by invisible hands. She stopped in front of the trap door, placed one tiny hand on the wood. Then she turned to me and said, clear as day, "She's under the floor. She's waiting." That was it. I scooped her up, locked the basement, and told my husband we needed help. We called in a local historian, someone who knew the area's history. What he told us chilled me more than anything that had happened in the house. Wexley Lane, our street, used to be the grounds of a colonial-era embalming business, a private mortuary where the dead were not only embalmed but temporarily buried while waiting for transport to family plots across the country. But transport wasn't always possible in those days. Many bodies were simply left, forgotten, buried beneath what is now our home. He handed us a faded ledger, handwritten notes. One name stood out, underlined twice: Eliza Vane. Found wandering the streets, claimed she could speak to the dead, died in the embalming house during confinement, buried beneath the floor to prevent contagion. We were standing in that basement when he said it. I felt a sudden chill in the air, like the oxygen had been sucked out of the room. The trapdoor seemed darker than before. I told him about the dreams, about Emma's whispering. He didn't laugh. He only said, "You need to stop speaking about her aloud. That name draws her closer." Since that day, we no longer say her name. We no longer go into the basement. We had it sealed, covered it with concrete. The air in the house feels lighter, but not entirely. Sometimes I still hear scratching from below, usually after midnight, a soft, rhythmic sound, like fingernails brushing wood. And sometimes, when I walk down the hallway alone, I swear I hear someone quietly whisper my name. Not angrily, not even sadly, just patiently, like she's still waiting. And the worst part? Emma's drawings. She doesn't talk about the woman anymore, but she draws her, always the same. Long dark dress, eyeless sockets, standing just beneath the floor, her fingertips touching the ceiling of the sealed basement. Still waiting, still listening. Thank you for joining me tonight on this eerie journey into the unknown. If these stories have left you with a chill down your spine, don't forget to like and subscribe for more spine-tingling tales. And remember, there's always more lurking just around the corner. If you've ever experienced something strange, something unexplainable, feel free to share your own story in the comments below. You never know who else might be listening or watching. Until next time, keep your lights low, your doors locked, and your curiosity never at ease. Because at Story After Midnight, the darkness never rests, and neither do we.